Alright, so you're gonna think I'm crazy. I mean, you already think I'm crazy probably. But I'm gonna wrap myself with my earbuds and I'm recording it down here, but now it's a centralized location and I shouldn't get any hair hitting it or anything. So we'll see how this works. Expectations, remember to use twice this video's length to take notes. Wonder, go use my site for extra resources. Today's objective is going to be plotting points so we can communicate distances and directions to get to certain locations on our coordinate plane. I'll set that up. All right, so this is our next unit. We only have 4 notes, but it is on 5 pages. So we are going to have one little extra lengthy video. Right now we're on page 21 for plotting points. I'm going to try not to move too horribly. I don't want to have to redo this video. So there we go, plotting points. So, just to clarify, plot means to graph. Alright, so if I say plot points, that is the exact same thing as saying graph these points or place these coordinates. Alright, and we are going to see functions later in this unit. Functions like y equals x plus 12. So we are going to have 2 variables now. Instead of solving just one equation with one variable, like x plus 12 equals 3, I now have 2 variables, which means 2 number lines. And this is why we did inequalities unit before this, because when we solved inequalities, you had 1 variable with 1 number line. Now, if I see 2 variables, we're going to up that to 2 number lines. So when I graph this, or just graph in general, we're going to be using 2 number lines. One of those number lines will be for the x value, and one will be for the y value. These are called axes. So singular is an axis, plural is axes, A-X-E-S. Alright, this whole thing is called a coordinate plane because locations on it are made up of coordinates, and they're made up of an x coordinate and a y coordinate, so a horizontal direction and a vertical direction. So we are going to, for instance, plot this point 5, 4. This 5 tells us the x direction, so this is the x coordinate, and the 4 gives me my y direction, or my vertical movement, and that's called the y coordinate. X always comes first, y comes second, so it goes alphabetical, which is really nice. A special point is this one, where we go 0 on the x-axis and 0 on the y-axis. This special point is called the origin, because I'm starting here and I now move 5 to the right because it's a positive 5, and 4 up because it's a positive 4. If I went down, or a negative number, it'd be down here. If I went left, it would be over here for a negative x value. Alright? So then I'm going to draw another one of these coordinate planes to show the next concept, otherwise it gets too busy on the one graph. So this is called quadrant 1. This is quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. So we do typically use Roman numerals for quadrants. Quadrant is spelled like that. And do note that if you have a larger number after, that means subtraction. So this is 5 minus 1, whereas if I had done the v and then the I, that would be addition. So 5 plus 1 would be 6. So IV is 4, but VI would be 6. Alright, so those are our axes. Again, this is our x-axis and our y-axis. We have 4 quadrants. And if we plot a point in each quadrant, I want you to see the patterns. I'm going to use a different color just so it pops it up. We actually already have one here at 5, 4, but what if I did this one? This is negative 2, 1. Notice by going left, it's a negative in the x direction. But if I do this one, it's now -2 and a -3. I went left 2 and I went down 3. And if I go over here, this would be +5, -3. So I'm still going right 5, but I'm now going down 3, and that's what makes that negative. So notice how we have a positive, positive, negative, positive, negative, negative, positive, negative, and that pattern holds for all of those quadrants. If you have one on the axis, this would be -2, 0, because there is no vertical movement from the origin. We're simply going left 2. This is actually a fancy name called the x-intercept because it crosses the x-axis. The intercept, like a football pass, the x-axis is intercepting that coordinate. There is also a y-intercept if your point is only on the y-axis and there's no horizontal movement. All right, so X and Y. If you write it like this, it tells us exactly what you're talking about. If you forget the parentheses, that's just a list that tells us nothing. But if you have parentheses, everyone around you now knows you are communicating a location, an either left or right horizontal movement and or up or down vertical movement. A name for this could be point, coordinate, or ordered pair. All three of these terms mean the exact same thing. So for a point, it's a whole thing. Coordinate also tends to point to exactly the x-coordinate or the y-coordinate. So the whole thing is a coordinate, but you could break it down to just the x part and the y part, the x-coordinate and the y-coordinate. And yeah, we're good to go. So I would definitely suggest you go to Math Aids and look up some of their practice because they have great practice for drawing pictures. If you draw a bunch of pictures and do it in the right order and connect the points, you end up with a fancy picture. So comprehension questions. Research the creation of the Cartesian plane. So it was after René Descartes, which is why it's a Cartesian plane, and Descartes was French. Why was it useful? Because he had a use why he created it. And it's a silly one too. How could you describe the location of your favorite snack in the kitchen using only vertical and horizontal instructions? So, thank you for watching The Punny Math Teacher, and have a great day.